Hello fellow YouTubers, and in this video I'm going to be covering the math section of an SAT practice workbook. You can find this on page 185 of the Manual for ACT Princeton Review sponsored book. I recommend the Princeton Review for anybody who's looking for an SAT test prep provider to study. Princeton Review has very good questions, often more complicated than the actual test, which some people would think it would be detrimental to the success of a student, but it actually worked out in my favor. I actually grew 10 ACT points and 400 SAT points, so it's very useful. So enough about me. Let's get started on this practice. These are going to be pretty fundamental questions. Difficult if you don't know your fundamentals, but that's what I'm here for. That's what this whole entire channel is dedicated to. I want to bring ACT prep material to those who wouldn't be otherwise capable of having it. So whatever. First question, number 13. Which of the following is not a real number? So already glancing at the question and all the answer choices, many of you probably already know that the answer is A. Why is the answer A? Because as a lot of us remember in algebra I, also known as negative root negative 1, is an imaginary number because it cannot exist. Why it does not exist is because you can never take two the same number and have them multiply to negative 1. You never take the same two numbers and have it multiplied to the negative of any perfect root because it's impossible. And for that reason, A is the correct answer. Some of you are glancing at B might consider, well, negative root 36, is that the same as the first one? Negative B would be written in a different manner. So for B, you would write it out as negative 1 times root 36. And simplified in this format, you see that you end up simplifying to negative 1 times 6, which is negative 6, a very real number in fact. So in case B might have given any misconceptions, that is how you would go about that. C is real because if you calculate this expression, you would get a small negative 1.4 or something around that. Root 39 is a real number because it produces a rational number. Decimal, albeit rational, is the correct answer. And root 36 is a perfect square. So there you have it. The first one is A. And for the second one, let's read it. How many different integer values for A cause the fraction 3 over A to have a value between 1 over 2 and 3 over 2? So I remember when I was first doing the SAT and other ACT prep, I would get confused as when I saw numbers like integer and rational number. An integer always has to be a whole number, whereas a rational number is always a decimal. So if you're ever confused, just remember that integer equals 1, 2, or 3, while a rational number can be just 2.4 pi, 2.33, anything like that. That is how you differentiate between an integer and a rational number. Now with that said, we have to find the different integer values for A that could be substituted for A that are in between 1/2 and 3/2. So 1/2, that is 0.5, and 1.5, that is 3 over 2. This is a pretty simple question if you don't allow the test to convolute your way of normally thinking about math. So 3 over A. Automatically off the bat, I know that 3 over 5, which is an integer, would equal 0.6. And from here on, practically you just go all the way down. Since the more A decreases, the higher this value will become. And once you've hit a value that exceeds or reaches 1.5, you know that the value is too much. So just continuing, you get 3 over 4, which is 0.75. 3 over 3, which is just 1. And 3 over 2, which gets you 1.5, but they're not looking to see which answer choice will get you to 1.5. They want to see which answer choices are within those parameters. So with 0.6 and 0.7 and 1, you would get the answer to D, which is 3, because 3 of the numbers 5, 4, and 3 can be substituted for A to give a value between 1/2 and 3.2. So congratulations if that was easy to you. Let's continue. If A is a positive integer and B is a negative real number, then the value of AB is, once again, a fairly fundamental question. Practically they're asking you if what happens when you multiply a positive number by a negative number. If you remember from school, the answer choice is always going to be H, because let me work it out, since that's why I'm here. If A is a positive number and B is a negative real number, then the value of AB is, so A, positive integer, let's go with 5, and B is a negative real integer, then going with -4, and the value of AB is going to be -20, which is a negative real number. So the answer is going to be H. That was fairly